Okay, welcome back. You can see what I've done now is just placed a summary on the bottom of the page, just explaining what these designs are and where I've got them from. Now I have actually stated in here that I've used the existing research that I've done, and that justifies that research being in there. If the research is in there but you haven't referred to it in any way, then the products that follow on won't relate to it, obviously, but it also there won't be any need to have it in the folder. So you have to make sure that everything that's in there, if you can't justify why it's in your folder, basically it shouldn't be in. Moving on then, what we looked at in the last tutorial was how we're going to design our boxes. Now you can see from this point of view, what I've tried to do is do the front elevation, the side, and then the other front of it. There's little point doing the plan because the plan's going to be square, unless there's any detail on the top, in which case then we will need to do the plan. But that's completely up to you. This could be drawn in orthographic projection. You could do it that way, and in fact I'm probably will be drawing mine in orthographic projection just to get that in, as well as doing it with the front of the shop. So whichever view that you're doing, having that third angled projection there is absolutely essential. So we'll look at that a bit later on as well when we look at doing orthographic projection. Okay, so what we've done there is we're coming up and we're going to start to design our final product to go on here, or at least something that resembles a final product. And the way we're going to do that is we started doing that in 2D design. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to separate the box. So all I'm going to do on my tutorial is, if I zoom in, just so I can get the grids back, and just refresh on there, and the bottom of my box, all I'm literally going to do is take a segment out. So once I've took a segment out, I'm just following the lines for this, it's easy as that. What I can do then is start to separate the box. So all I'll do is just go to minus, so I can zoom out. I'll highlight the top bit that I want. I'm not going to join them at the moment, and what I can do then is select the other lines that I need. So I'll need that line, and that line, and if I draw those, move them up, I can move them out of the way, but it makes sense to keep them in line with what you're drawing. Okay, so what I have done there is move the box upwards. Now anything that I get wrong, it's quite easy, just snap back to where it went, and then I can start to show how this box will go together. So all I will do now is draw in the base. So I've got the top and the bottom of the box separated. Very easy to do as an exploded view. Now going back to my design, what I have got is these corrugations going across the top, and I really need to draw those in to get that communication across to how they're actually there. Now it is also staged at the bottom, and I'll try and zoom in just so we can see what I'm trying to do on the sketch. This is pretty much got two sort of designs in and one large piece for the logo, and so that's what I'm going to try and design onto this thing as well. The corrugations of course will make the box stronger and also more interesting. So what I will do then is zoom back onto 2D design and start to draw those in. Now at this point I've got no idea of the scale because I'm not drawing to scale. All I'm doing is doing a representation of what I think the box will look like. So if I start to draw my lines in, and all I'm going to do is alter the top just to make sure they're the same, so I always carry these across. So the next stage then is just to keep drawing in where I'm going to place those sort of corrugations. So if I just do these in twos now, and then I'll start by changing the outline on the outside of the box, and it should start to make it look a bit more apparent to what shape the box will actually look like. So there we go with that, and just delete exactly the same onto the other side. Okay, from that point of view, all I can do then is project the lines going down on each side. Now if I was going to be really lazy, I'd just copy that line and project it down, but what I'm going to do with mine is just draw these straight the way down and then take them back in. Now of course, because of the box being at this angle, what I shouldn't be able to see is the ends of them like I can at the top. So if I then draw a line going straight down to there, that should make the box look a bit more clearer, and I also need to draw these lines in. So if I just take the grid off and refresh, you can see that I've easily got the shape of that box. Now clearly that needs to actually be projected onto this box at the bottom, but because I'm actually doing this in 2 stages, I want to show some sort of development as well. So I will put these boxes going down and project it onto there, and then once I've done that, we'll come back and have a look at how we can develop the box further. Okay, so there we go, we've started to draw the bottom of the box that continues down, so the two are actually level just by projecting lines down. Now because this is the bottom of the box, I should be able to see inside it, and that's why I've paused just to show you how to do this. Well, the first thing I need to do is project the lines of the internal box so I know where the corners are. So now straight away that in this box you just refresh, that the inside of the box will look like that. Now I also need to put some sort of thickness in, so what I will need to do is project these going down, because that'll also be coming out like so, and we'll just project the lines going down. So what I should start to look at is how this would look in 3D. Now as soon as you start putting things like this in as well, it starts to look a bit more dynamic and a bit more like you know what you're sort of doing. Now clearly on there, these ones don't go all the way down to the bottom, so what I will do is project where that line needs to be and then correct my drawing accordingly. So that will go to there, from there, and I just need to check these, yep, so it will, and then from that bit I need to just correct the bottom of that box. So in fact, what should happen according to that is that box. So it gets a bit confusing around this part, but if I zoom in a bit, what I can do then is start to put the thickness of the box in. So if I just move that into the centre, and this time I'm going to go to step lock, and if I say that's going to be one thickness going all the way around, literally all we'll do is just draw the thickness going all the way around the box. Now again, this is going to change some of the lines on the box. If I do this side, it might be just a little bit easier. Let's just undo that one. I'm going to zoom in a bit more on here to make it easier for myself. And these are the bits of detail that are going to add more to your marks and also make it look more three-dimensional, which is what you want it to do. So what I will do is carry on doing these lines all the way around, and then we'll come back and have another look at the design. Okay, so I've now drawn in the thickness of the material, so we can see that at least 1mm going all the way around. You won't see that on the top, but then I need to think about how I'm going to change and develop this design to get me a few more marks. Well, the obvious thing, first of all, to me, is that I'm going to continue those lines going across. So at this point, all I'm going to do is just move that to the side, and then do Control C and Control V, and then change where these need to actually look at. I'm going to make sure that they're right level as well, just so it looks better, which it does. And then we're going to zoom in and quickly change the top. So the first design development I'm going to do on my box literally is going to be extending these across, and this is why I didn't extend them when I was actually working on them earlier. So let me just have a quick look where that needs to be. and then I'll come back to show you the next stage. Okay, so the next stage is all I've done is developed this part and just redrawn it so it all fits in to exactly the same. That bit's gone off, just turn the grid off, it might be a bit easier to look at. But you can see that I've actually got that groove going all the way around. So the development wise, what I've actually done is took the idea from still fitting into the same, haven't changed the bottom at all, and then from that point of view, what I am going to do then is say, right, well, I've developed the top so that goes round, and that can work quite well. Right, the next stage then is to develop that a bit further. So what I'm going to do is take that square box now and do exactly the same. So Control C, Control V. I'm going to develop the base of it a bit further. So on this stage then, what I will do is continue this groove right the way around the box. So on that point, what I will do is then just pause for a second, just to show you how to do this, and while I'm talking through it, just explain a bit more about the boxes. So I'm going to zoom in first of all. Now, when you're doing the boxes, you need to make sure that you're following the right guidelines, as in it doesn't look any different to the top or the bottom part. Now I'm going to start by drawing this bit in first, just so we can see how the base of the box will look. And in many ways it will look very similar to the top, but it will need to come up one because it's gone round one. And so actually what we're actually looking at there, I would have thought will look something very similar to that. I'll just pause now, just while I complete the other parts. Okay, so I've finished drawing that bit in. I'll just take the grid off so we can have a look again. And you can see it's a bit more complicated now than this sort of design, but it shows that the box is hollow and where the grooves are. So it gives an idea that you've thought about where these things should be. Okay, I don't think that line should be there either. And I think that that line needs to carry on straight down. So I'll just zoom in and correct my drawing. Sometimes it's easier to see these things without the grid on. So it should look something like that. Okay, the other things you can do then is you can decide that you want to angle the box, which in which case you could do something very simple like that on the corners. I'm not going to do that though, but just to show how it would work, you could do something very simple like that on the corners. And the reason I'm not going to do that is just because I know that my DVD cases are in fact square and rectangular, and by inserting that piece on there, my boxes won't fit into it. But you get the idea of where we're going with it, so it's easy to do that. So just replace that where it needs to be, and then we'll look at the final development in the next video clip. Now of course at this point you must make sure that as you're changing anything, if you're not doing them on the same sheet, that you're actually recording them, because you will get marks for this, but you'll only get marks if you can actually place it into your design folder so people can see what you've actually done. Okay, so there's my box. I am going to design this a little bit different and add a few more things in. I think I probably will go back to this idea where it's stepped, and I'll try and draw that again in 2D design. But isometric paper, there's nothing stopping you if you don't want to use 2D design or you haven't got access to 2D design. You should just get yourself some isometric paper and to draw it on there. The fact you're using isometric paper, you won't lose any marks for. So that's the next stage, which is to do the final design development. But just to see what we've got so far, your design stages for your box are starting to look quite good, and they're looking very similar to this. And this is just developing things using 2D design. In fact, it's the same design that I've replicated across.